Okay, so we're continuing with what we began yesterday. And there's this very, very important speech that the Rebbe gave in 1991, where he talks about um, how it is that in the future will not be necessary uh, policemen. And of course, it begins by this week's Torah portion is called Judges and Policemen, Shoftim v'Shotrim. That's this week's Torah portion. Judges and policemen. And really, policemen are just like an arm of the judges. The judges, there has to be judges to tell people what's right and wrong. When there's bad judges, that's the worst thing there can be. Bad judges. But when there are good judges, so that's just the beginning of the process. They tell you what's right and wrong, but people, their heads are not always connected to their hearts. So it could be that in their heads, they know what the judge said, but as soon as they're out of the court, then their heads are not dominant, their hearts are dominant, and they do whatever they want to. So therefore, they have to be policemen. The policemen enforce the decision of the judges. So people say, I know what's right in my mind, but I want to do what I want. But on the other hand, the policeman says, and how would you like to get a baton smack across your temple of your head? Was it, oh, I don't want that. Says, then do what the judge says. So now there's two factors. Your head wants to do what the judge says, and now your heart also wants to do what the judge says. In your heart, there was a feeling, I want to steal, I want to lie, I want to do whatever I want to do. Forget about the judge. But I, even more than I want to steal, I do not want to get whipped or beaten or something by the judge, by the policeman. So that's why it says in the Torah there has to be judges and policemen. But interestingly enough, in Isaiah, when he prophesies about the coming of the Moshiach, it says that there won't be any policemen. There are only going to be advisors. And not only that, it doesn't say that there will be advisors. It says there will be your advisors. In the Torah, it says you have to put judges and policemen. And Isaiah says there's in the future, when Mashiach comes, there are going to be your judges and your policemen. So that's why. Why is it in the future when Mashiach comes? Because the main thing of Mashiach is to open people's hearts, to change people's hearts, to make people a little bit less selfish. And how is this going to be done? By bringing people to be a little bit more aware that they are just creators, that they are just creations, and that God is creating them. And number two, that they are being created for a purpose. And then the power of police will come from within. People will police themselves. So it'll be from you. So this is according to this. Now we can understand why, in addition to why in the future and by Mashiach there will be your advisors. Why will there be your advisors? Why, in addition to your judges, since the shlimus of the whole point, the whole power of the novelty of the future redemption will be the Jewish people will be complete, and they will do what the judges tell them to do, and they'll do it automatically. And by the way, who are the judges? The rabbis, for instance, the rabbis of the Talmud. Who mizez this shall be shoftayach v'gam yotzayach, because there will be judges and advisors. What does it mean? The simple difference between them is a judge, he is someone that tells you from above to below. He's not on the same level as the litigants. He is above. The people that are coming for a judgment, they don't know what to do. And the judge does know what to do, and he tells them what to do. He teaches them. Whether because of his knowledge, his understanding in the laws of the Torah, or because there should be surrender of those who are being judged to the judge. What do they call it? In English, there's a word for it. It's called um, in Hebrew. It's called bizion mishpat. Bizion beit mishpat. In English, it's much better. It's I can't think of it. Anyway, if you have to give honor to the judge comes in, you have to stand up. You have to call the judge your honor. You can't say, "Hey, listen, Fred." You can't do that. What's it called? There's a really good word for it. Why does this skip my mind? Okay, anyway, so it says a judge is a person that you know he's supposed to be. Ideally, he represents the truth. He's speaking from above. He is, so to speak, a representative of a bigger power than yourself, whether it's the city or the state or the country or maybe God, right? Afilu even in karatzona shalanishpat, you have to be surrendered to the judge. A judge posika that then he tells you what the law is and he commands you, and the one who is being judged, he is forced. He must accept the law. That's the law, which is not the case. Yoetz, which is not the case. An advisor. An advisor is, like it says, he is at the same level as the person who he is advising. He's just giving good advice. Take it or leave it. Like the language that Eitzah Tova Kamashalom. Like it says sometimes in the Gemara, what does this mean? Say it says it's not a law. It's just an advice. You're not a good thing to eat standing up. Is that a law? No, it's Eitzah Tova Kamashalom. It's just good advice. That this indicates that the one who is being advised, that the one who is giving advice, he is, so to speak, on the same level. He's like a friend of the one who is advising, not like a judge. And therefore, therefore, the advisor is speaking to him, not from above to below. He's not decreeing things, but he's like a good friend. And he's speaking to him, shava v'shava, equal. And he's giving him good advice. He's giving advice so that the person can understand how to better carry out the decision of the judge. I'm trying to think of this word. What does it mean? Or I'll think of it. Okay. And he feels that this is good. A person feels that it's good for him. The advisor, he's the one that says, listen, it's to your advantage. The judge is your friend. Listen to him. He's telling you to do things you don't want to do, but I'm going to explain to you that you should want to do it. According to the same, similarly, Al Derech Zeh, moving the difference between judges, and your advisors. When Isaiah is describing the future redemption when Moshiach comes, what does it mean? Yesh b'zeh, there is what there's not in this. The good thing of an advisor is the hu nitkabel yoter. It's accepted more by the person who's being advised. It goes into him and in his inside. He says that's a good idea. That's acceptable. Kevin since because he's giving, being given advice for myself, right? Let's say, for instance, I drive over my next door neighbor's lawn. And I go to the next door neighbor gets mad, and he wants me to pay, $1,000 for the lawn. I say, jump in the lake. I'm not going to pay anything. So he takes me to court. The judge says you have to pay. And I said, listen, Your Honor, what does he have to put grass over there for? Let him put cement. He'll put cement, and I won't be driving over his lawn. I'll be driving on his cement. So what's the big deal? And if he doesn't want to, let him make a fence. He'll make a fence over there. And then I won't make a mistake to drive over his land. The judge says, listen, meanwhile, you wrecked his lawn. You spent a lot of money on that lawn, and you have to pay him $5,000. Nah, I'm not going to pay. You don't accept the law. Okay, I accept it. It goes outside, and he says, this is terrible. I'm not going to accept that law. So comes along a policeman, and he says, you better accept it. I'm going to beat you up. Says, okay, so I'll accept the law. But I mean, the hospital causes the hospital expenses will be more than $5,000. I'll accept it. That's the way it is now. In the future, it's not going to be that way. In the future, people are going to go out and they're going to say $5,000 they have to expend them. It's a lot of money. I really don't think he's right. But okay, I guess accept what the judge says against my will. Comes along the advisor, and the advisor says to him, "Listen, what's your problem? Your problem is that you don't want to feel the other person's loss. The other guy is losing money. You drove over his land. You caused the damage. Okay, you can make excuses. He should have done this. He should have. But the fact of the matter is, he feels bad, and you made him feel bad. And that's your problem. Your problem is you don't feel other people. Have a little bit of empathy. At least have a little bit of sympathy." Well, with the other guys, yeah, I guess you got a point. I guess you got a point over there. Really, if you think about it, I'm that way with my wife, my kids. I'm pretty selfish. Oh, so the advisor gave him good advice, right? He gave him good advice. Now he's going to go to his next door neighbor and says, "Listen, Joe, I made a mistake. First, my biggest mistake is that I got angry. I thought I was right. I'm not right. I drove over your lawn. I didn't want to lose money. What do you want to do? I'm an egotist. I got problems. Everybody has problems, right? That's my problem." And Joe will say, "Listen, don't worry about it. I also have problems, but the fact that you drove, I know I drove over the land. I'm paying you the money, and from now on, I want to be friends. It's very important to me. I don't want to lose your friendship. And if I drive over the land again, I'll pay again. I'm really sorry. I'm going to be careful." What happened? The person changed internally. Who caused him to change internally? The judge told him what he had to do, but the advisor told him how to do it. And that's what's going to be in the future. How is it good for me? The thing of, okay, that's what's good about the advisor, because we're the same, we're, how do you say, eye to eye level. The good thing about the judge is that the judge, his teachings come, his instructions come as instructions of the judge, which is from above. So therefore, it's something new. So this gives the judge, sheyesh lo koach, has the power of the Torah. Here we're talking about Torah laws, that he can decide laws, and this power is very great, shalo be'erich, incomparably to the advisor. The advisor can just give you nice advice that you make it acceptable, but the judge can tell you to do things you don't want to do, that are not acceptable to you, and he tells you to go against your will. That's the power of the judge. The Gam also, Shazebo, this comes in a way of a commandment from above, that he forces a person that he has to do what he wants, which is not the case of the advisor. The advisor, it's activating the person's free will. But the person's free will, he's only going to go according to what he understands. So he's limited, which is not the case of the judge. The judge makes you jump out of your situation. Another way of saying it is, by the judge is found the main stress as that he is a judge giving laws. And by the advisor, his main thing is that he wants advice to be accepted. The judge doesn't care if you accept it or not. That's not the job of the judge. The judge is telling what the truth is. He's telling what the truth. You don't accept it, your problem. It's your problem, right? The advisor comes and says, "I don't want it to be your problem. I want you to accept it. I want you to realize it's a good thing the judge told you to do," right? The advisor said, "Listen, I on my own wouldn't have told you to do this. I want to be your friend. I don't want to get on your wrong side," right? The judge says, "What do I care about your right side or wrong side? I'm telling you what the truth is." That's a judge. There are like two things which have to be in general in the service of man. Service of man, man serves God on his own. That's like ani ladodi, an arousal from below, and another way is that you get inspiration from above. If I go from below to above, so I come to realize, maybe there's God. Yes, I can get, and I serve according to my understanding. But if I go according to what God says, then I force myself to do things. The problem with forcing yourself is that you lose a little bit of your humanity. You lose a little bit of yourself, your personality. And God wants you to have both. So therefore, you want to do what's right against your whole nature, change your nature totally, right? that you stop being who you are, you be a new person, that's from above to below. That's the judge. And you want to change your personality that you actually enjoy doing what the judge says, that's the advisor. Also, the same thing is, there are these two things, being helped from above in itself. Sometimes God helps you, he gives you inspiration, which is, how do you say, commensurate to the nature of a person. And he can accept it internally. But then sometimes there's inspiration to a person which comes from a totally different level. Says similarly, there is two things in helping from service on the Jewish people themselves. There's the shoftayech, your judges. One second, let me stop this before I get to this point over here. This one. Sometimes a person can suddenly be inspired, right? I'm a Jew. Right? He is like, nowadays, for instance, it's really, there's all this anti-Semitism going around, right? So you have people that are, they're atheists, they don't care about nothing. What was it? You're a dirty Jew. My parents were Jewish by then. I mean, they weren't even, my parents even denied it. My grandparents, okay, they can, but I'm a Jew. Yeah, you are. You're a dirty Jew. So suddenly a person starts thinking, man, I'm a Jew, maybe I should do something Jewish. I'm gonna put on a Jewish star. I'm gonna wear a chai around my neck. And then he meets a rabbi. Would you like to put on tefillin? He said, why should I do it? Well, you have a sign. This is also a sign of being a Jew. I'll do it. So he does it little by little. He does things, right? Does things. Then there's also, sometimes the church will say, either you bow down to the cross or we'll burn you on the stake. In the Inquisition, we'll burn you on the stake. And the guy says, listen, I'm not a religious Jew. I don't care about Judaism at all. I'll do whatever you want. I'll bow down to whatever you want. They bring him the cross. All of a sudden he says, Shema Yisrael. I'm not going to get an arousal from above. I'm a Jew. I'll die because I'm a Jew. I'll die. Where did he get that from? So that's called an arousal from above, which is not commensurate. It's not in the level of the person who's being inspired. So we have two different ways that God inspires us. One way is little by little, and another way is all of a sudden he gets a big zap of godliness. Right? I am a Jew. So there's two levels of judges being judged from above. Also, similarly, there is two ways of God helps you, which comes from the Jewish people themselves, from below to above. Shoftayich, your judge, means that everything you do come from your judge. Who's your judge? The Torah, the Word of God. Then you're given help from above, which is, and another way is you're being given help from above, not commensurate to the person. Not commensurate. That's the Torah. And there's also Yoatzayech, that's the advisors. It helps the person little by little. But often Shemargish, he feels that this is for my benefit. One example of this is, let's say you see a rabbi and that makes a good impression on you. Right? He's a nice person. He treats you nicely. He sits and answers your questions. Right? It could be you could try. You don't even understand the answers. But you see, it's a nice person. So little by little, the person has an effect on you. That's a yoatzim. That's a yoatz. So sometimes you can jump into serving God. I'm going to do whatever it says in the Torah. That's being a judge. And sometimes it can be that you do things little by little. I'll do it more and more. My grandson yesterday, he told me that he gives a class in the Tanya, in the book the Tanya, the basic book of Judaism, of Chabad. I'm sorry, of Chabad. I mean, really, it's a basic book of Judaism. And the people there for the month of Elul, so they all accepted on themselves a resolution to do. And all of them, he told them, I want you to accept on yourself small resolutions. Do something small and do it in a way that it's not a vow. You say, I'll try. I'll try every day to say Shema Yisrael. These are non-religious Jews. I'll try every day to say Shema Yisrael for, let's say, a week. I'll try to put on tefillin as much as I can once a day, little by little. In other words, he does it little by little. Don't cut off more than you can chew. Right? Chew, right? Little by little. Then there's another way where a person says, A lot now. This also happens a lot. These people come back from the war, this war that Israel is fighting. They come back and they say, "That's it." He comes up with tzitzis on, and he puts on. There's some that come back and they wear tzitzis every day, right? And they put on tefillin every day, but they don't want to put on a yarmulke. They want to put on a kippah on their head. Too religious. But they put on tefillin every day. They jumped. They made a jump. That's what a Jew does. He says that's like judges from above to understanding. Above understanding. I'll do whatever the Torah says. I'm going to do it. And advisors means a little by little. I'll do things a little by little. I hope he's according to this. Now we can understand why it says your judges, like in the Rishonah, in the beginning, and Yoatzayah, and at first, and Yoatzayah kabatchila. The prophecy of Isaiah says, in the days of the Moshiach, God will give your judges, not just judges, your judges, like they were at first, and your advisors, not just the policemen, but your advisors, like they were in the beginning. Okay, the Rebbe is going to say it like this: first means something that was number one. That was the beginning of the whole entire idea. That's the beginning. That's I'm saying. That's first. Kabarishona, that's the first. Kabatchila, that means beginning, a continuation. It's continuing on. Tchila. Okay, essentially these words mean the same thing. Kabarishona and Tchila also mean the first. But we'll see that the Rebbe is going to say no. Judges are like the first, but advisors are beginning something new. It's a beginning of a continuation to us. A continuation to us. Here we go. Achiluk ben Rishon, the difference between first and beginning is first means number one, the first thing. Namely, this is before the beginning, which is not the case. A beginning of something, this shows that the beginning, that's what actually begins things. That's what actually brings them into reality. So it begins something. First, let's say maybe in a clearer way. First means the idea. And beginning means you actually do it. You actually started an action. We can say that's the difference between Shoftayach Karishona v'Yoatzayach Kabarchila, means that actually the judges are found in a way that's like in thought. That's like the judge. That's number one, the first. This comes in a way of a commandment from above, without any chashvut, without any consideration so much with the litigants. The judge says the truth. The judge is the first. He begins the whole process. He's number one. It's like in thought. He tells you what to do in thought. Therefore, yeshno psak. Therefore, there is a hefsek. I'm sorry. There is a separation, whether in time or in quality, between the words of a judge and the words and the idea of the and the existence of the judged. A big distance. And because after the judge makes his decision, now the litigant has to go outside and begin something new. So the judge is in thought. The judge tells you what's right. That's called rishon. And tchila means that you actually do it. You start to do it. You actually accept the law. You do it. Okay, which is not the case of an advisor. An advisor, there's not a separation between first and the beginning, between thought and deed. In the advisor, the main thing is the person who's being advised. By a judge, there's a big separation between the judge and the ones that are being judged. And that's the way it was before Moshiach comes. When Moshiach comes, then there's going to be judges, but the main thing is going to be advisors. The advisor is a person that there's no separation between him and the person he's advising. And by the way, just 1 second, I want to stop for 1 second because we forgot to give charity. We forgot to give charity today. For those people who came late to class, I did not miss the charity giving. Here we go. Giving charity. Charity saves from death. Charity gathers all of the, here we go. Charity gathers all the Jews together for the Holy Land. Charity. Tzion b'mishpat tepada. V'shaveh b'tzedakah. Okay. So that's why it says judges and advisors, your judges and your advisors, because they will be close to you. The intention is this, that what? Everyone will know what the Torah says. When Moshiach comes, people will know what the Torah, because the Torah is embedded in the essence of our souls. But we'll have to know how to do it, because everybody is, a human being is different. Every Jew is different. What's my part in the Torah? It's how I put on tefillin, how I think about God, how I come to love God, fear God. That's going to be your judges and your advisors, that they will tell you to do it, and not shehem mitzad atzmam shalom be'erich yitkablu. Even the judgments of the judge, which is totally above you, will be accepted as though it is yours, inside of you, just like the same thing as receiving advice. And that's why it says in our Torah portion that judges and policemen you should put in all of your gates. What are the gates we're talking about there? The gates are a way of getting into the city. The intention is that appointing judges, and in the time before Mashiach comes, and policemen, will be in a way that you will put them in your gates. What does it mean? That the Torah says, this is the Torah before Mashiach comes. The Torah is telling us that the judgments that we make and that the enforcements that we enforce ourselves, that they are in a way which are separate from you. It's not you. But the Torah is trying to tell you that you should put it into your gates. It should be in a way, that you accept them like accepting the yoke, like a servant, but it should be accepted by the Jewish people in all of your gates, in an inner way, in a way that it will be, you'll do it with pleasure, automatically. You'll enjoy doing what it says in the Torah. This also goes according to the opinion, the commentary of some of the other explainers of the Torah, that they say that when it says that there's 70 faces to the Torah, and these other rabbis come and reveal these faces. So one of the means of says you should put judges and policemen on all of your gates. What is it talking about? The gates of a person. How a person, the gates that allow the external world outside of you to come inside. Namely what? Your eyes, your ears, your nose, your mouth, like we're going to learn later on. These are the gates between a person and the world around him. And all of your gates, this means that gates have to be given to you. That all of your limbs, all of your senses, all of your abilities should be conducted by means of your judges, the judges of your soul. In other words, don't just let your senses take you away. Think about what goes into your eyes. Think about what goes into your ears. Think about what goes into your mouth and what comes out of your mouth, especially. Think about your feelings. You understand your mind, your amochin, your judge. Who's your judge? Your judge is your conscience, or by the Jewish people, the judge is what's called the godly soul. The godly soul of a Jew, that with it you learn Torah, namely that when you learn Torah and the teachings of the Torah, that's the judge we're talking about. should come down and be included in a way of titain call. You should give them. Give them means call a notin be'ayin yafeh. Give them, put them, judge yourself in a generous way. B'chol sharecha, in all of your gates. In other words, in all of your connection and your dealings with the world should be judged according to the Torah. All of your limbs, all of your powers, all of your talents should be judged according to the Torah in a way that it permeates totally all of these gates. The gates and all of your beginnings in the world, how you connect to the world, should all be judged according to the Torah. So now, according to this, now we can understand why that when Mashiach comes, we won't need policemen anymore. Why? Because then the judges, your judges and your advisors, they will be complete. The Torah is not an additional thing to the world. The Torah is the blueprint of the world itself. The Torah is the blueprint of truth. It's implanted in every single fiber of every single, they say, the atom in the world, and especially in every single human being. When God gave the Torah, it says that God's voice permeated all being for all time. But the problem is we have free will, and God wants it. We have to decide if we want to use the Torah or not. And when we do make the decision, it's also not so simple because it's going against human nature. Says the Rebbe, that's this week's Torah portion, is that we can put judges inside of our human nature, inside of our body, and all which is inside, which is directed, which the Torah applies to. I'm sorry. These are the laws and the teachings of the Torah that should come by means of your judges, together with also an inspiration and a empowering which God is giving us. He's giving the Torah as soon as we decide to do it. So God empowers us and inspires us that we can overcome all of our misgivings about the world. Still trying to think of what things. Okay. Contempt of court. Oh, that's the word. That's the word I was trying to think of. Contempt of court, right? You have to get an honor to the judge. If not, it's called contempt of court. And this is the Eitzos V'Tovos Habos by means of. Well, these are the advisors, the advisors that you give, your friends, your family, your rabbis. Those are your advisors which enable you to internalize and to enjoy the teachings of the Torah, because the teachings of the Torah are given by your Creator who's creating you. And only by means of these two things, the judgments of the Torah and the advisors which are given, this enables the Torah to permeate your being totally in order to do the word of God. And this is what we're going to continue tomorrow.